All right, Module 3, Tutorial D, our last tutorial of this module, is going to be about taking an image and putting interactive hotspots on it. And you'll be like, oh, we already did that. We used Genially. And yeah, you could use Genially, and then even Tilda has a zero block builder where you could do it. But again, I don't want to make this about a platform. So we are going to do this with a handy thing, which is SVGs. You don't have to use SVGs. You can absolutely make hotspots on an image, a raster image, and use what's called HTML image maps to draw an area and then take some JavaScript and select them and do whatever it is you want to do with these, right, as in the example on our course page. And if you wanted to do that, right, you could use something like image, what is it called, imagemap.net to image-map, I think it's called. There's links on this page somewhere on here, right? Where you could have it, draw out your areas. But instead, we're going to use SVGs because we use SVGs a ton in interactive visualizations. So we're going to use it to make a label diagram, but you could also use this in the next module to make an SVG map. Or of course, you could also do a raster map if you wanted to, but you'd likely want to do an SVG type map for this, and you can even put on hover events to like change the color of an SVG. As a matter of fact, let's try to do that. We'll do some kind of interaction thing with this. You should know how an SVG works, and an SVG really does look a lot like HTML. If we just kind of look at here, this example right here, right, you see there's an SVG wrapping element, and then inside it you get these things, rectangle, circle, paths, so all these things that define. Another thing you really need to understand is that there's this group element. We're going to really utilize that. And the last thing you know, we've been using IDs and classes in our code, right? We can use those on not just the SVG itself, but all of these child elements that are going to be inside this SVG, and we're going to utilize that. Even we can use other attributes as well. Let's see if we can leverage something else. So the first thing you'll have to do is prepare your SVG. It's not likely you're going to just download an SVG and use it as is. You got to get it a little bit set up. So if you go to our tutorial assets from icon, and you can open up wing.svg in Illustrator. And so let's open it up and see what's going on in our layer. And we'll see that I've actually done a bunch of cleaning here. You'll notice these named areas, humerus, ulna, radius. And if you open up any one of those, you'll see there's a couple of paths in each one. So each one of these is actually a group, and we could ungroup it. If I went up to object, well, I have to select it first, right? So I'll select the humerus, I'll go to object, ungroup. You would see then it comes as two. I'm going to hit Command Z because we don't want to ungroup that. I have left one area that we will have to group. So this is the alula, right? So we'll grab that, and right, those two pieces. It's these two pieces. So we could click over here, one, hold shift, click the second one. You can just drag out your mouse like I did. So we have these two pieces. And then you can either use the quick keys of Command G, or you can go up to Object Group. And then where it says group, I'm going to double click in there and write in Alula, A-L-U-L-A. I think that's how it's spelled. I don't think it starts with the U. So that's it. We could look at what else is going on, right? We'll see. We've got this other that has a lot of pounds. This is the one I'm gonna plan on avoiding when we have a tooltip, because ultimately what we're going to do is mouse over any of these things and have a tooltip, maybe have the other ones drop opacity or something so that it focuses on that particular thing. So great. Do I just save it here and put it in the page? And the answer is no, right? Well, you could save it, but I'm not going to save it because, well, we're going to have to go to the save anyhow. So let's go to File, Save As. And I don't want to overwrite our files, so I'm going to just put it on the desktop. Make sure it's an SVG, hit save. And now this is where I really care about it. I want to go to this SVG code area. This is now the code of our thing. So you could put an SVG in a web page with the image tag, but then you can't operate on the individual parts of it the way you can when you paste it as code. So we're going to need to paste this as code into our web page. But first, right, we can't just paste it as code as is because Illustrator adds a bunch of garbage and bloat. So I'm going to hit Command A, Command C to copy, go out here, go to Google and say SVG cleaner. I'll go to this first one, iconly.io. I'll paste my code in, clean and optimize, and there it goes. It downloads it as a new image with a new name. I'm going to then control click on it and say open with text edit, just to go back to that raw text, and I'll give it just a once over, just seeing that, okay, we got our groups, ulna, radius, right, everything's looking okay. Well, we've got this path 25999 here, don't know what that is. We've got digits, alula. So it looks like, I don't know why this one's named path 2559 instead of whatever object it is. Looks like, again, we're going to have to troubleshoot. This is one of those things about Illustrator, just being kind of funky, right? So we'll find it out when we find it out. So what we need to do is, well, let's start a project. So make a new folder, SVG, open it with Studio Code, right? We'll add, doesn't really matter, I'll just make it an index HTML because we would be cutting and pasting this into Tilda. Right, we'll make an HTML5 wrapper to make our lives easy. And from there, we're going to paste our SVG in there, right? Oh, no, we won't. We'll paste our SVG. Did I ever do this? Open with text edit. Yes, I did. I just skipped copying for some reason. And come back here and paste that in. There we go. So we've got our SVG in there. And so if we go live, give it a second here. All right, we got our giant thing. Let's control the size. Should we control the size with the SVG itself? And I say no, because we're going to want this to be a little responsive. So let's go and let's add a div, give it a style attribute, and say max width 600 pixels. We'll give it a margin 0 auto, and I'll make sure that div is after our our closing div tag, right, to wrap that in that div. Go back here, and there it is. And so when we kind of go, you'll see that the image will get smaller responsively on its own with that. So, okay, there we go. We've got us a wing. Okay, so I told you there was, so now we can start operating on this with some JavaScript the way we have it, not put in an image tag. So we need to go ahead and get that information we're going to want to make our tooltip out of. So I'm going to go to script, and I'm going to, in our downloads, I have json.txt. And so this is what we're going to cut and paste first into our script. I'm going to go down here and say, put that in there. And what happened here? So this is a variable, a constant, right? Because it doesn't change, called wing bones. And it's just one big object. And this object has sub-objects, right? More objects in it. So you see there's an object, the alula object, and this object has a title and a description. This is important because we're going to use these. You're going to notice these and these group IDs are going to match, and that's how we're kind of connecting these things here. Now I will say, before we do anything, let's go here and say data ignore. Okay, I'm just gonna write data ignore. This should work. Right, so there's data ignore. On the other, I should mention, I'm on the other G. What am I going to do there? Well, because other, if you notice, there's no other object right here. I want it to be, actually, we don't even need that. Let me get rid of that. We'll tell, we're going to have AI do stuff. So let's let AI deal with that however it wants to, because we could ignore it. We could tell it just to ignore this one. It really depends on what you're doing, because we're going to leverage a little bit of AI here. So it looks like I've got my object all set up, except for, again, I've got this problem where this one top level, so let's see here. I'm going to start closing these down. So there's the humerus, there's ulna, there's radius, there's other, carpometus, digits, alula. Oh, it looks fine. I thought maybe there was one. So, but notice, this is the really important thing. These are top level groups, but there are sub-level groups. Like if we look at digits, you'll see there's multiple groups in here. That's important to know. For again, you have to understand it before you can even ask AI what to do. And so we're pretty well set up. I'm going to go ahead and save this, right? Now, there's nothing happening yet. And the last thing I want to do is, now I could totally write this off my head. It'll just take longer. I'm going to let AI produce it for us. And so we need to make a prompt. So I'll give you the prompt, right? But I'll write it here live in front of you, right? To kind of show you how to write the prompt, right? So it's going to be like, I'm uploading an HTML file with an SVG and autocorrect. SVG and JSON object. Okay, right? That's just telling me, because I'm going to upload this thing with it. And I'm going to say, I want to add hover click events to each top level group except the one with the ID of other. So, okay, it's going to be like, okay, select all these except for this one. When the user hovers over the top level group, a tool tip should come up with the title and description. Make sure the tooltip is on the left, on the right of the mouse when a user, make sure the tooltip is on the right of the mouse if the user hovers over the first half of SVG and the left of mouse if over second half of SVG. That's a terrible way to phrase it, but AI will figure it out. Okay, so now I'm just positioning the tool tip in that the tool tip should adhere to the mouse cursor, right? I like those kind of tool tips. What else do we need here? Do I need anything? Oh yeah, okay. When a group is hovered, clicked, make all the other groups including other, reduce opacity to 0.3, right? So that's a pretty simple prompt right there, right? So I'll save that so that you have that, and I'll paste in the code so we're all using the same code. So let me go to chat. Let me go in here, add photos, find my SVG index, go there, right? Oh, what did I just do? Oh, man. Trackpads, man. All right, there we go. Okay, so there it is, right? Send prompt. So now we'll just give it a second to write that. So again, this is going to just do something where it selects all of the, it's going to be smart enough to know that we set up this file enough that it'll just kind of fill in the rest for us. It'll be real simple here. Give it a second to produce the stuff. And again, I will paste this into our assets so you can just simply cut and paste this. What we need to paste, the JavaScript that it produces. All right, 37 seconds. Just download the revised. Right, I'm going to download that. I'm going to just really quickly throw it into VS Studio Code. So here we see, well, it wrote some things. You got to see what it did. So it wrote not only the JavaScript, but it also wrote some CSS here, right? So I'm going to grab this CSS right here. I'm going to come over here and just make sure we have some CSS for you to grab and put in, right? So I'll put that there. Then I will go to my index, right? And I'm going to, since I'm going to paste it in, I like to put it inside the body tags, right? It really doesn't matter where you put this stuff. And then I'm going to, what do we got here? What else do I have open? Right, so our JavaScript that it produced, right, is this right here, all the way down to here. So I'll copy that. I'm going to put it in our javascript.txt. Now be careful because I didn't put it inside the script tags because we already have script tags. Let me close that. So we have to put that inside of our script tag, right? But after our wing bones variable, paste that there, hit save, and now let's go try it out. And it does, there is no tooltip. So what did we miss here? There's probably some HTML for a tooltip. Let's go looking for that. So let's see here, tooltip. I thought it would just create the tooltip. Here's the tooltip right here. All right. So here we see, right, it's getting highlighted. We're just not getting the tooltip, okay? So again, I'm doing these live as I record these, and I will pause this and fix the tooltip. I didn't even have to, it took 2 seconds. I shouldn't even pause the video. So I just took that file that we had downloaded from that, and I just, kind of did a search on the page for tooltip, and you'll see we do need this little piece of HTML here that is the tooltip. So I'll copy that. I'll go back to our files here. I'll call this right, I'll call this tooltip.txt, right, paste in what we need there, and then we'll go back to our file, our index file. I got too many things. Go back here. Does it matter where we put it? Probably not. I'm just going to go ahead and put it right, and you know what, it kept it in this div. I'll put it there. I don't think it really matters where we put it, honestly, because it's going to position it based on the page. So that's there. That hits save. If we come back over to our document here, now we have our wonderful thing. If I click it, it kind of holds state. I like to do, again, don't forget on mobile there's no hover, so that's why it's probably good to do this. How would the tooltip work on mobile? Let's go start checking it out, right? So if I click on it, the tooltip does come up when you click it, and it should be all right. Now, is this perfect? No, we could go fix this and do a some more art direction of how to for it to handle on mobile if we wanted to. Also, right. So yeah, that's it. That's all we really needed to do. So let's put this into Tilda. So if we just go to our regular Tilda, log in, go to your tutorial page, and go all the way down in here. Good old HTML. We're so used to it by now, hopefully. Content. Come down to our page, right? And again, I kept everything inside the body tags. We don't want the entire HTML skeleton. So I'm going to copy everything that's inside of those body tags to go ahead and paste, save and close, publish, open page, and there is my thing. Of course, we should probably put in a headline and an explainer that this is parts of a wing, but we're not going to do that. We can just go ahead and put this in here, but obviously for your own project, you would want to put in, right, some explanatory text. But there it is. That's a simple SVG, interactive SVG. Again, super handy if you want to do something like, say, a map with Iowa counties and hover over a county and show some information or things like that. So that is the tutorial.